All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
When the world grows quiet and the daylight fades, we drift through the doorway that the moonlight made. Beyond every memory, beyond every fear, dreams paint a picture that only we can hear. They carry our questions on rivers of light, sailing through shadows in the middle of the night. A whisper from tomorrow, a lesson from the past, a fleeting constellation that was never meant to last. Dreams are the lanterns in the dark of the soul, guiding us gently where we're meant to go. Like a compass in the ocean, like a star in the sky, they teach us how to walk, they teach us how to fly. Dreams are the language of the heart set free, the bridge between what is and what could someday be. Some say dreams and memories our minds rearrange, pieces of a puzzle forever set to change. Others say they're messages carried on the wind, opening hidden doors deep within. A mountain may appear where a challenge must be climbed, a winding road reminding us to trust the hands of time. A river is emotion flowing wild and true, and every flying moment says there's more that we can do. For dreams are life's reminders of hope, faith, and love.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 2 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we will cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight on the CanCom Broadcast Network and your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM, streaming us at classic1220.ca. If you'd like to send me an email, my email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com and on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. My guest tonight is no stranger to the X Zone, and it's always a fascinating experience when he joins us. Dr. Richard Alan Miller is a physicist, biochemist, herbalist, researcher, author, and true modern polymath whose remarkable career has crossed the boundaries of science, metaphysics, consciousness, alternative agriculture, survival preparedness, and the unexplained. He is the author of numerous books, including The Magical and Ritual Use of Herbs, The Magical and Ritual Use of Perfumes, The Magical and Ritual Use of Aphrodisiacs, and The Modern Alchemist. Throughout his work, Dr. Miller has demonstrated an extraordinary ability to connect ideas from widely different disciplines and reveal relationships and that others frequently overlook. Whether discussing mysteries of the human mind, altered states of consciousness, metaphysics, scientific possibilities, natural healing, or humanity's uncertain future, he always challenges us to question conventional thinking and look beyond the boundaries of what we believe we know. Tonight, once again, we open up the door to ideas that may challenge your perceptions, expand your awareness, and lead us farther into the unknown. For more information about our guest this hour, Dr. Richard Alan Miller, visit his website, richardalanmiller.com. And Richard, welcome back to the X Zone. Always great having you with us.
Yes, thank you. And I am going to speak slower. I am going to speak slower. I was all excited this morning, but I've done national radio for so many years that, I don't know what's about to happen, but when you see all the news today about Ecuador and the earthquakes and the volcanoes going off, and it makes you have to consider the possibility that the reason you're here is to witness this all. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that this Earth, this planet has been raped way too long. We've been sucking the oil out of the Earth, and to me, that's the bloodline of the Earth. Of course, climate control and the way that people are just neglecting this planet. Mother Nature is saying, hey, enough is enough. You want to see some action? I'll show you what action is really like.
Well, she's Gaia, the largest life form on Earth that we've measured as human beings, is 2 agaricus mushrooms. One, that's the first and third largest life form on Earth, mycelium. Now, what do you think about that as a possibility of a brain and gut as a metaphor?
Anything's possible.
Yeah. Well, how about what would you do if you had sugar ants putting their so-called better living through chemistry in her kitchen with plastic and everything? And the fact that there are more people on Earth right now than all of history. At this moment, there are more human beings on Earth than in all of history. What do you think about that one?
Anything's possible.
It's, yeah, well, what do you think she thinks when you've got an ant farm starting up in your backyard? What would you do?
Well, I don't have to worry about that. I don't have a backyard.
there you go. And actually, the correct music to play for me would be Debbie Harry's The Man from Mars, because I've been there literally. Honestly, I have. And it isn't remote viewing or astral projection. It is a new concept called bilocation, where it's easier, like a white hole and black hole, it's easier to go further away than it is close up like my closet. I don't know why that is, but that's how separated we are from ourselves.
So tell our listeners about your going to Mars.
In 1974, I moved the Menninger Foundation from Topeka, Kansas to the University of Washington and discovered cymatics by adding video feedback. That was the birth of cymatics, or what we call concept of sacred geometry. In 1979, that's the Diamond Body, my latest trilogy that I've started writing. I've got a brand new one now coming out in agriculture, and we'll talk about that later. But the second book was when I then put Mora and Intimate German acupuncture equipment on your forehead and used electric currents to release specific neurotransmitters using my concept of sacred geometry. And that's when I discovered getting high was that not the drug, but your immune system's response to it. And then using both of those concepts where I could release a specific neurotransmitter from my brain and using video feedback with imaging in my mind's eye, I was able to create a concept of what we call a wormhole, which allowed me to take 12 NASA scientists to Mars in 1983. We never made it to the surface. And one of the things we discovered was that there was more water on Mars than Earth, where Earth's water is mostly underground. Can you believe it? At one time, it's now speculated because of that study I did. That, by the way, is like electromagic and yogatronics that will be coming out shortly. And creating your own wormhole. I have a
Richard, stand by. We've got to take our break here at the first block. Exonation, our guest this hour is Dr. Richard Allen Miller. His website is richardallenmiller.com, and we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And you're listening to us on the CanCom Broadcast Network and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM, streaming us at classic1220.ca. Don't go away.
Beyond every memory, beyond every fear, dreams paint a picture that only we can hear. They carry our questions on rivers of light, sailing through shadows in the middle of the night. A whisper from tomorrow.
Deep where the Colorado carved the ancient stone, secrets sleep in silence where no light is shown. Isis, Osiris, Horus standing tall, guardians of a mystery that still can call. A canyon carved by ages, older than all time, yet whispers tell a story hidden in the climb. A newspaper cried the truth's been found beneath the earth, beneath the ground. Hieroglyphs and chambers deep, are they waking from their sleep? Who walked these canyon walls before? What secrets hide forevermore? Egypt's shadow or a dream? Nothing's ever what it seems. The names are real upon the stone,
Welcome back, everyone. And if you'd like to get any of our bumper music that we use here in the show, as well as any other music that we use, it's done by RAM, and their website is rammusic.ca, and you can buy the individual tracks there. And just drop on by and see them and read the great reviews that they have from people around the world who enjoy their music. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is our guest. And Richard, when you went to Mars with the 12 astronauts, if you're able to get there using the technique that you developed, why do we need spaceships?
What do you mean, we, white man? They have just discovered the same geometry in my mind's eye that I use on the North Pole of Saturn. What that means is that our solar system is a life form. And if you don't think NASA doesn't want to know where that wormhole goes, I am not kidding. They actually invited me to go along with the crew because I'm training them on how to do this. Remote viewing is not what we're doing. I'll send you a geometry. It's in my diamond body book, but do not stare at it long, because what will happen is you'll find yourself somewhere, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can hurt yourself.
All right, it's a deal.
Okay, now it's a simple. It's the diamond body, but it's not what you think it is, like a Stargate. I'll send you what they call a Stargate, and that is sci-fi, and it isn't how it works. It's more complicated than that and requires a lot of training, which I started in 1979 when I met Sharon Singh and started training my mind with meditation. There's a reason that these people are seeking, how do I put this? Something just came up and it's just, tangenting me on my computer screen. Everything now has been weaponized, and you're going to have to be very careful. TV is how it started, mind control. When you envision this geometry, it will allow you to experience other possible yous in different universes, like I'm writing the mathematics right now on multiverse. Anything that you could imagine that would affect a large group of people, like your radio show right now, and somebody then staring at this and all of a sudden went through a wormhole and is on Mars, anything you can imagine has already happened. And it's even more than that. That's what made us God's favored, was the fact that we had choices. And each choice that you made today in the kitchen, deciding what you're going to have for breakfast, and how it changed your whole day, happened. And the reason that meditation is important is it begins with how you put psyche into matter. The thought that occurs at the moment of climax happens. That's sex magic. That's why these secret rituals are all about emotion. It's how you put psyche into matter, not my physics. And anything you can imagine, it's not only true, it's even more than that. And that's why your saints in history have stressed the importance of training the mind. Now, with all of that said, that's probably why you shoot your own foot. But don't worry, the singularity will be when we can clone you, and he'll use real bullets for you if that's okay. That's a joke.
Okay.
I'm trying to suggest to you that if the right one don't get you, the left one will. That's Harry Belafonte. And if we don't have a magnetic pulse, what happens is every 12,000 years, for whatever reason, the magnetic poles of Earth switch to the opposite direction, and the core of Earth starts spinning in the opposite direction. And what that does is it throws lava to the surface. And when that happens, you start having landmass changes. And it happens every 12,000 years. And since time is a construct, how can it be so precision? Well, that has to do with the fact that I currently think that Homo sapien is a lesser species, like milk cow is to you. Homo neanderthalis had 3 rings in the DNA, and it had a bigger brain case. And it's the one that taught man to come in out of the ring, cook food. Where is it? Now, that's because Homo sapien might be a dairy cow. And while God loved you like you love your dairy cow, what happens when the dairy cow is too old to produce milk?
You eat it.
Imagine that, huh? God loves you, but you're just a dairy cow.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Yeah, well, think of it like that as a metaphor. And all of a sudden, I felt like I was David Copperfield going up to God with an empty bowl saying, God, I'm still hungry for something more, please. And God looked down with all his love and patience. Because I found that the God of earth is Yahweh, not Yad-He-Vah-He. I did my own translations of the Dead Sea Scrolls when I discovered or felt that there was something more going on. My parents were atheists. They raised me as Missouri Synod Lutheran to armor me against the missionary crap that happened in my high school every year. And what happened next, when I came out of grad school, I knew something else was going on. And so I learned Old Hebrew and Greek because I'm not a dabbler. And I studied with Gershom Scholem for 6 years. Then did my own translations of Qumran and the Dead Sea Scrolls and other things that supposedly created our Bible that we had less than 12,000 years ago. Because there have been 5 previous epochs. This is the 6th, and there may not be a 7th if we continue using AI. Now, when I did my single tour at Groom Lake, I felt as if Krill was my future programming me. But now I'm having other thoughts of realizing that maybe what she is a clone of some of these creepy billionaires that wanted immortality. Because one of the things Krill said to me in less than 20 minutes, like a lifetime EQ, she said, if you were to choose an artifact to remember Earth by, what would it be? And if you chose the right one, you get to choose a star of your choice to complete your evolution. What color do you want to be? She didn't say that part. I did. That, like tall gray, Nordic,
Sure.
Whatever, all these different things that we now have, like little green men from Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what I do know. Anything with a face, 2 arms, and 2 legs is a carbon-based life form. Because I've seen aluminum-based life forms in Prague, and that's creepy. And
Where did you see that? The aluminum based.
The aluminum-based life form is there's a University of Prague. There's a study going on there on life forms and what constitutes self-organization.
Oh.
And silicon, may look better than us and give better head, but it's it's an alien-based life form that does things you don't or can't. And your billionaires are all trying to make a bunch of money on putting these processing centers for them and other things that will take and make Earth probably like Mars. I don't know. When I was there, it appeared that Mars might have been our so-called Garden of Eden. And about 2 billion years ago, something happened between it and the asteroid belt, and that's when Earth was colonized as a second alternative. And the reason I didn't have anything written to go by is because I had to work with geology. Because every 12,000 years, there was nothing that existed in written material. Your stone tablets are 11,200 years ago Greek. And I can tell you, I really don't know. I'm just a young brat kid. By the way, I like your choice in music.
Oh, thank you.
I have a eidetic memory. That's why the military used me. I'm basically, literally, a 4-year-old that never became 7, and now I'm 82 years old. And I know I don't know. That's why I ask, why? Why? I want to know. But I've made lots of mistakes.
Yeah, but isn't that funny, Richard? You just said something that makes a lot of sense because children, they always ask why when they don't know. Adults pretend they know when they don't.
Yeah. Well, I want to know why. And that's why I'm bright like a 4-year-old, but I know I don't know. And I've made a lot of mistakes where people take advantage of me as being naive. And how to put it? I'm addicted to love. I wonder where all the money went. Now, the good part of why I like your music is that I don't hear music. I see it. I have synesthesia and cross-modal translations of different senses.
Right.
And 20 years working as a volunteer at the Brit was the nicest gift I ever gave myself. I'm not kidding. Music inflames me. I dated Joan Jett when I was in high school, and then I got to know Debbie Harry, and she introduced me to Joan Jett, the Hart Sisters. Steve Miller was my cousin. I grew up with music. I was his drummer until I went to college, and then he went out and got a real drummer.
Listen, Richard, we've got to take our break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is our guest, www.richardalanmiller.com. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you on the CanCon Broadcast Network and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM, that you can listen to throughout southwestern Ontario and the upper tiers of New York and Pennsylvania on AM 1220. You also stream us around the world at classic1220.ca. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Tell a story hidden in the climb. A newspaper cried the truth's been found beneath the earth, beneath the ground. Hieroglyphs and chambers deep. Are they waking from their sleep? Who walked these canyon walls before? Out beyond the midnight sky, where the silver star trails run, there are lights that move in silence, far beyond the waking sun. Some call them angels descending, some call them ships from the blue. But when they shine through the darkness, they feel like something true. Are they messengers from heaven, or travelers from the stars? Are they watching from the cosmos, knowing who we are? Angels, UFOs, heavenly visitors, lighting up the night with wonder in their eyes. Angels, UFOs, crossing forever between the ancient heavens and tomorrow's skies. Are they wings of light?
And welcome back, everyone. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is our guest, richardalanmiller.com. Richard, you've done so much in your life, and you still have so much to do. You were telling me before we went on air that you're writing a children's book that is already 200 pages. Where do you see the world going in the next decade if we don't smarten up? And if we don't, and just not smartening up when it comes to AI and the internet, but when it comes to our food sourcing and our food supplies?
Yeah, well, man needs you individually. All of you listening to me. In the next 2 years, you're either going to learn how to grow 40% of the food you consume, or you won't be around within the next 10. And that's that. And that's written in stone because the study I did, oh man, can you imagine what a high school kid's going to do when there's no food and he's hungry?
I think he'd rather have no food than no internet.
Well, there it is. And yeah, really, I mean, they can't. Oh man, I don't even want to go there because it's gloomy doom. But if you can produce 40% of the food you consume,
Mhm.
you will survive even with landmass changes, and if you grow a little extra, you can barter for that pineapple you can't grow. Now, with that said, that's a metaphor, and blood types alone dictate what you need in your diet, and that is why medicine is broken. One size does not fit all. Everybody's uniquely different, just like Jesus said it. And what's good for you isn't necessarily good for me. And you start with your blood types and you're where you're living because you have customized yourself or adapted to the universe that you're currently enjoying, whether it's a rainforest or a desert. And you just can't go from one to the other that easily. You have adapted and you get used to certain kinds of lifestyles. And when that's snatched away, and I'll put it to you the way I used to do with urban survival 3 minutes for air, 3 days for water, and 3 weeks for food. What's important. And once you get that, it changes your entire purpose and intent. Intent is not what you do, but how you do it. And your purpose determines your value system. And what's correct for you is not necessarily correct for me. We're uniquely different. In fact, I think there are about as many different kinds of people as there are human beings on Earth. Everybody's uniquely different. And once you identify the storyboards going on inside you, that's another book I'm writing called Pantheon, Archetypal Gods in Daily Living. It is a magical and ritual use of metaphor. And what you're doing is chunking down your behavior into 22 different stories in the big city. It's not about fortune telling. It's about identifying why you shoot your own foot. And once you identify the different archetypes working in you, now you can go in using ritual as a celebration of myth and change the movie.
Richard, do you think it's too late?
It's close to too late, yeah. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
In fact, I would just like to let our listeners know, Richard, that on August the 28th to 30th, you're going to be at the beloved Shasta Ascension event. You're the keynote speaker. And Exonation, if you'd like any information about this great event, visit Richard's website. Once again, it's richardallenmiller.com. They've got quite a list of very interesting people there, Richard. And from what I see, these are all people who care deeply about this planet. They care deeply about the survival of the species.
Ron Porter was a personal friend of mine that started this Mount Shasta event back in 2015. And I was his keynote speaker back then. I haven't been back since, but now this new woman, beloved, has asked me to do that. And I'm at a crossroads in terms of what I'm going to speak about, because I don't want to depress people. And most of the people attending this kind of an event are strong Christian, but they're more in the unity church sense of it. I do ESP studies, workshops where I can even take a psychic. There's a lot of psychics will be at this, using their Ouija board or whatever they do, cards, whatever. And basically what ESP is other forms of information that you've gathered, like odoriferous molecules, like a dog smells, or body language, or neurolinguistics. All of these things, consciousness, for the most part, considers them irrelevant, and so you have a limited input of audio video. You see things and you taste things, and you don't lick your girlfriend, but you do kiss her in the mouth, and notice the tongue goes in and out. That's gathering information about them like a dog does, except you have canceled it as irrelevant in consciousness. And by going into a specific altered state, you can get access to that information And it's like, we call it ESP, but it's more than that. It's like you already have that information from other forms that we haven't even described as sugar ants. We're just mumbling around trying to figure out what's going on. And we use constructs like space, time. I came up with holographic universe. That's information. They're all not real. They are constructs. And when you realize that yet the Petri dish gets cleaned on a very precision-like 12,000 year event, then you have to say it's like waking up and you're like your dairy cow. And when the dairy cow gets too old to produce milk, it starts asking questions like, what's going on? Why am I here? Why am I not there? Blah, blah, blah. And when you start doing that, that's when you then experience death. And the Sumerians are talking about it in the recent translations coming out of anthropology, where they talk about the moment of death, where you have a choice between, this is a Sumerian now, that's their beliefs like we have ours in this century, but really, they suggest you either go through the tunnel of light and come back as a dairy cow, or you get off the wheel. What does that mean? Slaughterhouse? I don't know, because I haven't died. But there are people that had near-death experiences, and I've hung out with them a lot, and it's really creepy to realize. My mentor, Dr. Stanley Krippner, ran Maimonides Dream Labs, and he discovered that lucid dreaming has more content to reality than consciousness does. What does that mean? It means we're asleep, and we're about to wake up, and you're either going to produce more, I don't know, what are they mining? Imagination, maybe, because it's extremely important, EQ over IQ. IQ, which I have a high one on, is adaptability, how quickly, and it's related to survival, how to change myself real quick, like, so that I can work through the problem rather than being locked into same as it ever was. Yes, that is my house burning down. And I know that I don't know, and I'm very careful about that because I'm now realizing that I'm also very emotional, and if I'm not careful, I'll talk too fast, just messing with you, and or other things where I'm creating my own universe. And that's why all your saints in Eastern schools have suggested the importance of training the mind. What I do for time travel is every day I make log notes. I used to do it in a diary. Now I do it, as a document online. And I call it my magical memory, because when you go back to something you wrote 20 years from now, 20 years ago, it's like going back to that very moment. And that's a form of time travel, not as you would think on TV or the movies, little.
So when you do your time traveling, Rich, where do you go? What do you do?
Yes, it's different for each of us. For me, I remember that moment, why I wrote that over what I could have written. And it's like that moment where I'm back at that moment when I did that. And the further back I go, the stronger it becomes, because it's easier, like I said, in wormholes, to go further away. It's like a white hole and black hole. And with that topic, I'm going to say something else. One of the studies I did back in 1974 is I flew over the Oregon vortex in a PBY seaplane with an interferometer at 15,000 feet. What bends light at 15,000 feet? And I'm going to suggest a mini black hole in a series of them called the ley lines and the Bermuda Triangle and other anomalies are a series of mini black holes going into the out of as a type of cymatic geometry, not the pole of Earth shifting like we think it is. And the two are related because the core of Earth is one side of Earth and what happens on the other side of Earth is the surface. It's a metaphor.
All right, Richard, stand by. We've got to take our final break. Exonation, Dr. Richard Allen Miller is our guest. His website is richardallenmiller.com. And when we come back, we'll talk about a few things he has on his website that we'll find, I know I find it very interesting, and I know that you will too. The X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight, right here on CanCom Broadcast Network and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM. And they stream us around the world on classic1220.ca. And don't forget, if you'd like to get any of the music that we play here on the X Zone, it's exclusive to the X Zone. Go to www.rammusic.ca. We'll be back on the other side as we wrap up this hour with our special guest, Dr. Richard Allen Miller.
Of dragons and candlelight, two dreamers dance through the endless night. Oberon called to the ancient skies. Morning glory saw truth in their eyes. From the forest deep to the ocean foam, they built a world and they made it home, with books of magic and hearts untamed, changing the world in the old God's name. Oh, Oberon, wizard of the silver flame, morning glory calling nature's sacred name. Through the mists of Avalon they ride, with the unicorn spirit by their side. Dreamers of a world reborn, children of the stars in storm.
Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is my guest. His website is richardallenmiller.com. All right, I'm going to zip over to your website for a second, Rich, and let me see here. I'm going to scroll down, and we talked about the Ascension event, so we're going to skip by that. All right, and the new small family farm for the 21st century book. That looks fascinating. Whoops, there we go. Sorry about that, Rich. Oh, where are you? There you are. Whoops, he's not back with us. Great. Oh, there he is. All right. Sorry about that, Rich.
What's that happening? What?
No, that was us. So tell us about your new book that's coming out, The New Small Family Farm, and why it's so important.
Behind it is another encyclopedia on alternative crop selections for each region. And there's going to be 15 volume on that. And this one, I show you how I wrote a grant on building a flower head harvester that takes red clover tops, red clover flowers, and I used the pistil to hold the glycerin and made an Indian herbal coffee, herbal chew that I put in noble houses across Germany, in the big noble houses across, more than tobacco. And you can swallow it. You don't need to spit it. As a metaphor, I did that in a course, and I show you the flower head harvester, how it pulls the flower head off like chamomile, and some of the other things that are always imported because those crops have previously been done by hand. It was in 1983 when I moved to Grants Pass and left the Pentagon. Henry Barth, fifth richest man in the world, flew all the way over from Nuremberg, hired me on the spot when I had announced I'm leaving physics and I now want to become a dirt farmer. He hired me on the spot and gave me 28 farms in 4 states, growing hops, including Yakima. It was in Idaho, Montana, where they grow all these hops. And I had dryers to do alternative crops. You can build rack dryers. I've got designs. And then I got a grant teaching my potential of herbs as a cash crop while I was teaching out at Road Community College. And the USDA SBIR gave me the grant, said Dr. Miller walks on water. And because I approached agriculture from a completely different point of view as a physicist, a young boy that wanted to know how to grow that crop so I could have it and have it for me. I did it for myself. I started with wildcrafting, and that's another book I'm writing on forest farming, where you use the canopy or you collect cones. I did 150 truckloads of ponderosa pine cone out of Lapine and Sisters as a fire hazard, sold it to the East Coast as kindling. What color would you like your fire starter, Mom? They don't have kindling on the East Coast. I took disadvantage in one state and turned it into an advantage for another. I approach things a little differently, and that's why I'm interested in getting our children to understand the importance. Now, some of them will be interested in running an automobile or a kite or flying without wings, or who knows where they're going to want to go, like me. I went into everything. And that's, by the way, I wanted to say this. That singer that you have, the female, she did 3 octaves.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
I mean, no. She's not pretty good. When I was a young boy, I used to go into Renton and listen to Wes Montgomery and his brothers play classical jazz. And the jazz out of that is quite different than Chicago. And New York is different than Washington, D.C. I used to go down to the cellar when I was working out of Arlington, and we'd go down in Washington, D.C. It's called the cellar. Modern jazz quartet would be playing their jazz. In walk Nina Simone. You have no idea. Oh, man, I just sat there and cried because the joy of that woman you have, like a volcano going off. It's just, and you just have to laugh. It's unbelievable. I like it. Mikey likes it. Is that how you put it?
Mikey likes it. That's right.
Yeah, Mikey likes it.
So let's.
Go ahead.
Go on, Richard. I'm also. We're running out of time, and I wanted to get to your next book, Sustainable Lifeboat Building.
Sure, yeah. I have to apologize. What made Matt Stein and I perfect was that he was very linear, whereas I'm circular. Jack Spratt could eat no fat, and his wife could eat no lean, but together, ooh, they licked that platter clean. That's how old I am. I'm circular. It's hard to keep me focused because I'm like a little kid all over the place. But I bring in the bacon. And that's the difference between a chicken and a pig. One donates, the other is.
Okay.
Bacon and eggs. Sorry.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's get back on track here. What about the sustainable lifeboat, building farms that feed and protect your family?
Well, there's more going on, than just the grains, like the big agribusinesses. And what they do is they rip, pillage, and destroy the earth in ways you can't even begin. For example, when you talk about Roundup, glyphosate, everybody's against glyphosate, yeah. But glyphosate itself breaks down into inorganic chemistry within 10 days. That means that once you use a single dose of it, let's say to establish comfrey, which throws a taproot down about 18 feet, it takes one season to get that leaf large enough. It will filter out the grass. And that's when you use Roundup once, which means you don't do a harvest of comfrey, the first one. The second harvest of comfrey has 28% protein and has lantuin and lysine missing in alfalfa for dairy cows or cattle that never see the light of day, like in Osaka, where their feedlots are 60-story buildings, where the cattle are rampant with disease, until I did a 60% comfrey, 40% alfalfa pellet, which constituted the whole food of the cow. Now they're very healthy. And unlike a horse that you might put out to pasture when it can't run fast anymore, what do you do with your dairy cow when she can't produce milk anymore? I'm appalled at how we see one thing yet miss the other. And sustainable lifeboat is where you have a small community of people working together, doing each skill set, and I will say it will be your neighbor that saves your life. You can't watch your six. You only look in one direction at a time, and that's why you have a team. Get me?
I think so.
Okay, good. Because that's an important concept. In other words, when you live in a more country rural situation, you need to get to know your neighbor, because collectively, like in what was that movie that what's his face played, where he was in a boat.
So just listen to what you asked me. What was the name of that movie with what's his face? Man, that's a lot of clues there.
I know, yeah. It was about the future Waterworld. That's what it was. Sorry, I took me a minute to go from right to left brain. I got it. It's Waterworld. When things get hostile and you have lockdown, where your community works as a team for survival, that's what a sustainable lifeboat is about. How you build your farm that feeds and protects the universe around you. And your neighbor will be the one that saves your life. That's a metaphor. And he'll be watching this side while you're doing that side, and you both work together to try to keep it together. And that's what a community is about.
Richard, with everything that you've done, there can your systems work in the deserts and the land that is just being totally neglected because they think crops can't grow there?
Well, what they're doing with corn is they put it in the gene, which means that the glyphosate, keeping out the grass, is forever in the soil as a keep growing kind of thing. It doesn't break. It's not allowed to break down when you put it in the gene. That's what GMO is: a good, bad, ugly situation. A good thing where you can make it have more polysaccharides, like I did with a mushroom, or you can put it in corn where you can't grow anything in that field except corn.
I was reading a report where the people in Dubai are teaching how to actually grow crops in the desert by creating hybrid types of corn and other vegetables.
My first job out of grad school was working at Boeing with Lunar Base Alpha 1, growing pot on loan. But the High Times article was about my work in 1968 working for Art Pilgrim. It later became the Space Center and BSRL, but I was dating Vicky, his daughter at the time, and was a physicist in charge of life.
Hey, Richard, I hate to do this.
System going to Alpha.
Richard, I hate to do this, but we've just run out of time.
I know.
As always, Richard, I look forward to the next time you're going to be with us. Always great talking to you. Keep the great work up, my friend. The world needs you. Don't give up on us yet. Exonation, if you'd like to find out more about our guest this hour, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, visit his website at www.richardallenmiller.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue with hour number 2 of the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And Of course, our good friends at your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ, who transmit and broadcast on 1220 on the AM dial, and they also stream us around the world on classic1220.ca. I'll see you on the other side. Don't go away.
The silver